Okay, I guess this one is an encore. My name is Lauren Heistad, author to the book Homecoming. It's been a pretty crazy, I don't know, but it's been 3 weeks since I was on here. I've been spending time watching my own story, watching me speak, working through all my fears of being so vulnerable and putting my story out there. This morning I went for a bike ride and I was told I wasn't done, and I literally told my guides to shut up. I am so done, I said. And they said, no, you're not. You still have more prophecy to do. And I don't know what that is, but I was guided to come back on here today. Now here's the interesting thing, though, is that before I came on, I was still listening to my own words as I was speaking them, going back through all the chapters. And today I crammed in 5 chapters and ended up on, I think it was chapter 32, Still Standing. Yeah, that one, I think. Anyways, in there, I was told the same thing. I was told that I needed to prophesy more, and I said, shut up. I also referenced what a weird time warp I was in when I was reading it and saying that it had been a bizarre 3 weeks. And again, it's been a little bit of a bizarre 3 weeks, but here I am doing some type of follow-up. I did ask for clarity on which thing that I needed to read, because I didn't read it all. I didn't. I skipped the baggage, right? It's the epilogue in the back with a bunch of journal entries as to how my life unfolded. I'm still going to skip those, but I did see a beautiful rainbow and guidance to read one of them. And so here we are. It is called The Ark and the Covenant. And I originally wrote this on October 22nd, 2022. Okay. Thank you for coming back to hear whatever it is I'm inspired to read. We'll see where it goes, okay? I have been experiencing the most bizarre, energy depleting, grieving process for longer than I care to admit. It has been ongoing for quite a few years now, but if I'm being brutally honest, my undeniable inner sorrow amped up shortly after I published my 3rd book. Remember my 3rd book? Yep, there it is. Mastering Your SOULworks. I hit print on that baby and everything just kind of blew up around me. But I digress. I'll go back to the story. Yeah, I started going through this undeniable inner sorrow that amped up shortly after I published book 3. I believe the entire world is going through a similar grieving process, regardless of whether we are all consciously aware of the reasons behind this overwhelming sadness or not. Perhaps I can shed some light on the situation. It is actually a very hard, courageous, and emotionally exhausting process to officially let go of the old story. It is. In particular, I'm talking about the belief systems and experiences of generations past that have filtered through our ancestral lineage and even our own past incarnations, waiting for this very moment in time. Contained within the old story are specific interpretations and understandings pertaining to how we will eventually transcend into the new era of enlightenment. Opposing this exact evolution, however, and securely ingrained within our cellular memory and historical mindsets, resides a very tough and inaccurate narrative of inherent unworthiness that we must officially ascend beyond. Do you hear me? Many of us talk about letting go. Most of us even understand what parts of the old story need to be released. However, most have yet to fully surrender to or give ourselves full permission and the freedom to completely let go of the past interpretations and move forward. Even when the realization and higher truth of our collective existence remains securely, very securely. Securely what, Lauren? Securely embedded within the subconscious shadows of our own inner knowing, patiently waiting to arise. Many still struggle through the process of self-empowerment. For sure. Myself included. This creates a tidal wave of emotional reactions and a roller coaster of self-doubt and confidence as we stumble through the changes of finding faith in our individual light held within. Admittedly, many of us still cling to the sides of an old, outdated, sinking ship, secretly hoping a rescue and miraculous intervention are still on the way. Even for myself, who grew up consciously aware that we each hold the individual power and responsibility for our own life path, there is still very much a part of my soul that hopes and prays for a much larger divine unfoldment. Savior type moment to arrive. And whether that is interpreted as an abundance in all things, financial freedom, golden pearly gates, or the end of our personal and global sorrows and struggles, the majority of society still places and seeks that resolve from outside of our own inner being. Truth. As much as I value and trust in the divine and divine timing of all things, at some point we must each accept and have the courage to know that the gold we seek has always been anchored within us all along. There's a beautiful lesson for myself, for darn sure. Guidance received. All right, much like a pair of ruby slippers transporting Dorothy back home to Kansas, the ancient symbol of an ark is symbolic of our individual yet cosmic rainbow of colors, very much accessible within our unique and ever-expanding SOULworks, quite capable of taking us back home to the divine held within. Making the true covenant an authentic promise that someday we as a society will collectively rise to the occasion, step into the shoes of our very individual and collective soul potential, and access the divine power held from within. Most days, however, we are still watching and waiting for an ark to arrive outside of ourselves. In fact, we are truly afraid to fully let go of the old story just in case elements of the original interpretations are genuinely true. A mystical being that will somehow lift us up, chart a new course towards the promised land, and single-handedly remove all the pain, trauma, and emotional baggage that comes with being human. Just like how Noah's Ark provided a reprieve from the tidal waves of change, we instinctually cling to our survival mode, never fully letting go of the hope or promise of being rescued by someone or something outside of ourselves. Now, undoubtedly, there are some yelling at me right now, insisting the historical events of Noah's Ark did in fact take place. That a select and chosen few were miraculously survived a global upheaval by the grace of God for providing one man the intuitive insight, divine appointment, tenacity, and faith to build an ark. And in fact insist this same process will repeat itself once again during a second coming Savior type scenario, with perhaps the arrival of one heavenly sent being and a huge ass lifeboat for all those deemed worthy. It's a great story, don't get me wrong. And I do understand many genuine biblical and historical events did in fact take place. For sure. I also do love the promise of hope and better things yet to come. Of course I do. That's what my entire SOULworks is about. However, one must question what would have happened back in the day when perhaps more people than just Noah intuitively knew it was time to build their own ark. Likewise, if communities in that same era of time would have worked together, forging a solution towards climate changes at hand. Imagine the manifesting potential that could and would have endured. Bringing this concept into the present day, imagine what will happen when society fully accepts the very real notion that every being on and off this planet has the divine capacity to hear, see, and intuitively rebuild their own arc of self-empowerment and accountability. That beautiful, beautiful kaleidoscope of energetic source potential housed from within. More astounding, imagine what will happen when society no longer fears this co-creative mindset or the power we individually and collectively wield to create such positive, heart-centered change on a global scale. It's a nice thought, isn't it? How do we get there? Well, first, we must bravely step away from the promise of being saved by anything beyond our own soul development, as well as release all past teachings and interpretations regarding this time. We can. Not to belittle our history or the shared understandings of our past, but to embrace all other possibilities of what we can and will collectively accomplish when we recognize and believe in the inherent potential within all people. It takes great courage and intuitive strength to believe in our nature, reframe understandings of the past, and bravely step away from a sinking ship of false expectations that would ever place the entire survival of humanity on one individual. And I don't mean to be too blunt or patronizing here, but if I can be brave enough to put myself out there, send out an energetic life raft through my book, and face this metamorphosis of change on nothing beyond sheer faith and trust in better things yet to come, then please find the inner courage to face your own fears. At minimum, be open to hearing my accounts and version of the story. And do your own soul works required to integrate the higher truth held from within. Don't even take my word for it. Find your own understandings and processes, but do test the energetic theories in my teachings. Double check the references I have cited. Personally, I've checked off more boxes regarding prophecy fulfillment than even I can fully comprehend. And assuredly, more than some may ever be willing to see, hear, or accept. However, society's acknowledgement of my life path is not my concern. I'm not here to build an ark. I am not here to build an ark of transformation all on my own. I am simply heralding the significance of this time and reminding society that this is our collective calling and divine appointment in time. We must reshape the old story into new beginnings of infinite potential from this point forward. Learn to truly experience and understand our energetic connection to all things, and more importantly, our global accountability towards change. And when we are ready, no matter how long that grieving process takes, or how long individuals choose to deny the higher truth, or even how many years may be required for society to fully embody the words I have written, myself included, I'll still be here in some way, shape, or form, patiently waiting on the sidelines for the rest of the timeline to play out, still lending a helping hand when needed, and more importantly, celebrating this incredible milestone moment that we have already embarked on together. In the meantime, I created this to start slowly putting my story out into the world, chapter by chapter, as I am ready. And even though I feel I have been touting this particular story for sure, for literally ever, I will continue to say it again and again. Not because I'm sharing my life experiences to appease my ego, nor for others to value my worth. No. I'm not clinging to old belief systems or struggling with concepts or expectations I have yet to let go of and heal. On the contrary, I'm telling my story so that perhaps at some point in the not too distant future, society will finally hear and see the higher truth. Authentically and fully appreciate our collective obligation to face change and fully embody our ever-expanding soul potential. And if I'm being completely honest, I guess it's also my personal way of attempting to reach out and humbly thank you. Thank you so very much for believing in whatever version of my personal soul works that has existed within the archives of our collective history. Whatever version. However, I am officially beginning to speak up, set the record straight, change the narrative, and help myself and all others learn how to fully embody and believe in ourselves and all others. It is time. My mind has gone silent. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. We each hold this beautiful rainbow within us. That is the promise. That is the covenant. And no matter how you find your way home to that, I do see and believe in you. Thank you for seeing and believing in me.